This is Rabbi Son, hot takes on news, pop culture, and religion, hosted by Rabbi Patrick, that's me, and my son Javon, spiritual, irreverent, always fearless, and produced by Darshan Yeshiva. Javon, how are you doing on this rather warm January day? Fine. He says fine. He always says fine. He's a fine guy. So we're going to do more of our Reddit stuff, but first, I really would recommend you join Darshan Yeshiva. We need you as a student. You know, you're listening to this podcast, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I'm into this stuff, but you're not a member of Darshan Yeshiva, and it's not that expensive, really, when you consider that you get lifetime access, no subscriptions, no hidden fees, no payment plans, none of that stuff. You just pay for it, and as Ron Popeil used to say in the 80s and 90s, set it and forget it. So join Darshan Yeshiva. We have lots of great classes coming up, and you get content like this, and you get the archive, right, of all of the different Divrei Torah, all of the different articles we've written, and we're going to have more articles coming down the pipeline. So join us at darshanyeshiva.org. Also, big news, if you join us in the highest tier possible, you get free access to Pluralistic Rabbinical Seminary's Beit Midrash. That's a $500 value. And again, you get it free for life. Free for life. That's a good deal. Netflix is raising prices. Hulu is raising prices. You know what we're doing? We're keeping prices the same, and we're giving you more. So darshanyeshiva.org. So, Javon, you have picked out a few different things from Reddit. I've been enjoying these like Reddit AMAs and all of these like, you know, things that people have been doing, the Am I the Blanks. This one, or this series, I should say, that we're going to do is just people in the Jewish Reddit just posting questions. And so we need to get some answers going. So the first one is actually the one I'm most excited about talking about is being Jewish in the cosplay community. Okay, so this person, Ranch Shots, says, this wasn't actually that long ago. I'm a big fan of anime games and Dungeons and Dragons. I love going to conventions and cosplaying. So this is, for people who don't know what cosplaying is, it's where you dress up in costumes. It's a great way to meet people who share my interests, but sometimes I feel a little isolated as a Jew in those spaces. I'll connect with people at cosplay meetups and everything seems great until we exchange Instagrams and I come across anti-Semitic posts being shared. It's really disheartening. It makes it hard for me to feel fully comfortable in the community I otherwise love. Anyone else experience this or have advice for navigating it? Javon, you do not exist in this world that I know of, but you have lots of advice. So what's your advice?
I would say, like, I would need to know the context of the anti-Semitic post. You know, like, you understand what I'm saying? Because I just need to, like, know what was said exactly that would have been, deemed anti-Semitic. Like, it was something like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get it. And I looked through this this question on the Jewish Reddit, and they didn't really clarify what that meant. So I'm going to assume it's probably, because this is very new, I'm going to assume it's like some anti-Israel stuff. I'm going to assume that it's probably a certain breed of kind of anti-Jewish stuff that's coming from left-wing spaces, since there's a lot of overlap with like the cosplay D&D, nerddom, whatever type stuff. So I'm going to guess it's probably stuff like in that, and probably some like blood libel-esque things of like, if you are Jewish and you live in America or you don't live in Israel, whatever, but you're personally responsible for everything that happens, you know, blah, 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 big donors, blah, 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 money, 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 like, you know, all of that kind of stuff. I'm going to guess it's probably in that genre. If I had to guess.
Well, what I will say is that, yeah, you can be critical of of a government,
right,
and not be, anti-Semitic. But when you delve off into conspiracies and, more so like the stereotypical financial conspiracy theories.
Right.
Yeah, but as for, this thing of, because you're always going to be othered. Like, you're never going to go into a space where there isn't someone who doesn't have, it may not be in your face.
Right.
But like, undertones of what they're saying, some of the things that they may say. Yeah, I don't know what to say, because either like you're gonna do it or not do it.
Meaning like go to events and stuff?
Yeah.
Or yeah. Yeah, I feel really sorry for this person, and I've met several people who kind of overlap between like very active in Jewish life, but also kind of are part of this like world of tabletop games and all of that. And to be honest, and I think I'm probably going to upset a certain percentage of people since we are like an internet based organization. Um, I just think that there's a lot of people who spend way too much time on Twitter and like way too much time like online, and it becomes like part of their personality, like their avatar becomes part of their personality, and they're not living a normal life, and they just, like you said, they start going into conspiracies and stuff like that, and it's like it becomes like their Twitter bio becomes their personality, and that's not a healthy way to live your life. But I get it, because like, look at what we're doing. We're on Reddit, right? It makes perfect sense that a person with this problem is posting about it on Reddit, right? This isn't Pinterest worthy, right? This is like, it is like Reddit is that world. And you do like, you look at some stuff, like I was on the Reddit for our local city that we live in, right? And someone posted about, I think it was like about Hanukkah parties or something like that. And I was like, oh, like I should see what all is going on that I don't know about. And it was all just like watermelon emojis and like, how can you be celebrating when you're, committing genocide? Or like, if you go like, basically like, if you go eat a fried donut, you're committing genocide, right? It's like, that is so unfair. Like that is absurd, right? That the idea that like, oh, a person goes to synagogue, or a person goes to like, some Israeli event, or they like in their city that they live in, or they go to like a Jewish function of some kind. Like that suddenly now it's like, okay, but now I need to know exactly how you feel about, but it's like, come on, none of you people are Middle East studies experts. You're probably anime experts, but
Yeah, I do think, people spend a lot of time on the internet and they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to this specific topic on the internet, not that I stay away, I look and I don't comment.
You educate, you self-educate.
Yeah, because personally, I just don't know what's going on. So I'm not going to comment on something that I don't know what's going on. But, I'm not most people. And most people
that's true, you're not.
Feel like, it's like the performance aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of reminds me of like anytime there's something going on with like, Black people, it's like people go, up 1 minute and then it's just like, the next moment it's like, faded into the sunset. And it's just a performance. It's just, oh, let me be seen by these, group of people so I can, get validation.
Okay.
And not that, some people in these spaces like don't, feel as like they truly feel like something is amiss.
Right.
But like with this specific thing, it's like there are already, people in, government who are saying these same things and are doing something. And like it's like attacking people for existing who have nothing to do with the conflict, who don't live there. Jewish people in the Israeli government are two entirely different,
right?
Two entirely different things.
People are not their government,
exactly,
no matter where you are, and people who are not even in that country, right?
Yeah, so like, and those people are probably like, they have different opinions. Not every Jewish person have the same opinion on this particular issue. But back to the meat and potatoes.
The cosplaying meat and potatoes.
Yeah, I sort of kind of want to say that, and if they don't know you're Jewish, then it's like you're gonna be fine. Like you understand what I'm saying?
Fine in what way though?
In that they don't know, so they're not gonna like personally like attack you.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
rather than something like, you being, a Black person, something that's visible,
right?
Versus something that's like, you would have to tell somebody. You're not in like immediate danger,
right?
So I do feel like, it's like from where I come from, being like, because I'm Black, obviously you can't really hide that,
right?
So it's like I kind of feel like, I'm coming from that space of like, you have it easier than like you're like
Right.
making it out to be.
Right.
And yeah, the anime community, any community is, broad,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll
Sure.
eventually find people that,
Yeah, I mean, look, it ain't hard to find a Jewish nerd. I mean, can we just like call it what it is? Like that's not a hard thing to look for, right? And I have a feeling that if you sort of search hard enough, you're gonna find people. I mean, I know that like, our synagogue at one point did some like Dungeons and Dragons stuff. And I know like actually another community here in Richmond did like tabletop gaming for a while. I don't know if they still do or not, but like I think you can find it. And honestly, depending on the city that you live in, maybe do a little research on that. Like, see if you have a JCC in your community and if they do anything related to that, or see if there's like, I'm going to assume this person's a younger adult. I probably shouldn't. I don't know how old they are, but like, I would think that maybe there'd be a Jewish Federation or something like that that needs ideas for events. Like, communities are always looking for ways to attract people, particularly people they don't attract. Yeah, some communities are more closed off, but like in my experience, as long as you don't come at people hard, you probably can do your research and just find people. If you're a college student, it should be way easy. Like, go to your local Hillel and just say, hey, like, is anyone into this stuff? I guess what I'm saying is like, if you feel like you go into these cosplay D&D, anime communities and you feel like they're just filled with people who are anti-Semitic, instead of trying to like make friends with those people, find the anime, geekdom, whatever fandom people within the Jewish community. Like, try that and see if you can build up a kind of cohort around you. I just don't think it would be that hard to find. I got invited the other night via Instagram to go hang out at a board game bar or whatever, and to play like tabletop games. So like if I'm getting invites to stuff, like I know other people can find it.
I guess if people want to put in the work.
Yeah, some people like, friendship and community, Javon.
Yeah, you can always have friendship and community at a very, closed circle.
Well, yeah, differences of personality, differences of, interest. But yeah,
I mean, I feel like as long as you're Jewish, you're gonna have this problem.
Yeah,
I don't know what, like, it's just you're always gonna have the problem. You're always gonna run into this problem. Not everyone's
right,
gonna like you. It's
right.
like
It just kind of is what it is.
yeah. So it's gonna be like you're gonna always go into a space. There's gonna be like one or a couple of people that has these opinions, and like either you're gonna hold your chin up, and you're gonna continue to do the thing that you love to do, or you're gonna punk out and go home.
Well, and like this one person, they deleted their account, but they said meaning anti-Semites, they isolate us and they criticize us for deciding to stick with other Jews. A tale as old as time, right? And that like that kind of makes.
I mean, that goes for any community.
Yeah, well, exactly right. Like if you were dealing with a bunch of racism, and then your option was to like hang out with a black cohort. Like, let's say you're on a campus or something like that. Yeah, people will criticize you for, oh, you can only hang out with black people, I guess. It's like, well, yeah, if you were dealing with racism, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Plus, like you'll be able to like easily relate to those people since y'all have something in common. It's not about like not wanting to hang out with people. Sometimes you want to be with people who understand you.
Yeah,
like what's understood is need to be explained.
Right.
Not everyone feel like going to like a multicultural space and like having to like need to explain why they talk like that, or what this word means, or why do you do this specifically, and all that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, so ranch shots, good luck. Hope you find some friends that are into this stuff, and hopefully they're Jewish and you don't have to deal with all of this stuff. And like, yeah, like again, friend, like it ain't that hard to find Jewish nerds. So just, keep pressing forward. Eventually you're going to find, cosplay, anime, tabletop game, people that, also want to celebrate Jewish holidays with you. And start a community. Like, I'm big on community building. Like, you found a problem, freaking solve it. Like, get off of Reddit and solve this problem and be a blessing to the world. Javon is like smiling, like, why on earth would you want to do that? That seems like too much work.
I mean, Different personality.
That's right. Different personality. All right. Thanks. Thank you to our sponsors at Darshan Yeshiva for making this content possible. Darshan Yeshiva provides beginner-level online Jewish learning, including the very popular Conversion to Judaism program, with sponsoring rabbis and students all over the world. Start your Jewish journey any place, anywhere, and anytime with our conservative, reform, reconstructionist, Jewish renewal, humanistic, and post-denominational rabbi mentors. Become the Jew you always wanted to be with Darshan Yeshiva.